Many consider the US President Donald Trump as a motto mouth. There are many people who believe that he always indulges in loose talk. They think he makes impulsive reactions. They feel he makes knee jerk responses. But is it really so? We need to analyze that. I cannot believe that the President of the United States, the most powerful nation in the world, will do that. Even if he tries to do or he behaves in that way, I'm sure that there is an ecosystem in the United States that will immediately intervene. I mean, from politics, from bureaucracy, from influencers in the society, the US simply cannot afford such a president. So I feel it is very clear that he is deliberate. There is a method in his madness. Let's analyze Donald Trump's behavior, statements, words, reactions, etc. against the backdrop of his opinions regarding India. To be specific, I would take two examples. One is the statement Donald Trump made regarding a brief India Pakistan war named Operation Sindoor. Second is Donald Trump's reaction or statements on India's purchase of crude oil from Russia. These two will give us a very clear idea of his strategy. Actually, there are people who believe that the erratic behavior of Donald Trump and his provocative statements are part of a strategy known as strategic perception manipulation. There are different aspects to strategic perception manipulation. Let's go deeper into the whole issue. Welcome to Insights. I am Hari Kumar. So let me start from this concept of strategic perception manipulation. There are different aspects to that. One is psychological operations. The other is information influence operations or manipulations. So Trump is blending both in equal proportions and he's carrying out his war of perceptions. That is what I feel. Now, what is his aim then? He wants top leaders of the world to respond to him and eventually create a situation which is, beneficial to the United States. That is number one. There is another goal of controlling public narrative or manipulating public narrative. This is the second aspect. The third aspect could be controlling markets, including energy markets, currency markets, etc. So he wants to establish the hegemony of United States in the market also. Very clever strategy. Now, how is India responding to that? Now, that is very interesting. There is a war, perception war going on between India and the United States. Very interesting, very intriguing. Both are led by, leaders who have great political acumen, who wield enormous influence in their own country. So the war turns out to be very interesting. Now, when we speak about the creating responses or eliciting as responses from world leaders, that was specifically what Donald Trump intended when he spoke about playing the role of an intermediary in India-Pakistan war and bringing it to a grinding halt. So he expected Prime Minister Narendra Modi to respond. But I think India realized the trap, the hidden trap. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi didn't respond. Instead of that, actually those who responded were not even ministers. They were not even top officials. Unfortunately for Donald Trump, those who responded to him or his statement was junior level a junior level officer of the Ministry of External Affairs. That's humiliating. That's irritating to the United States. So India paid back in the same coin. Very interesting. Then the US might have been checking about that trigger response, whether India would respond immediately, spontaneously, or whether India will take some time to think about it and respond. Actually, the second thing happened. India took time, its own time, and responded with the help of a junior officer. So, I think in that case, the strategy of Donald Trump didn't win. And again, you would be surprised to know that Donald Trump repeated his assertion around 40 times. It would have been humiliating for any other world leader to assert something 40 times and the other party is not interested. He didn't say anything and he deputed a junior officer to respond to the leader of the mightiest country in the world, Donald Trump. So, Donald Trump had to eat a humble apple pie. So that is the beginning. Now Donald Trump, you know, he started responding on India's purchase of crude oil from Russia. Now there are again other aspects to this, the strategy of manipulations. So let's go into that also. Again, the US wanted, or perhaps it may be CIA, which was organizing all those initiatives. Then there was behavioral diagnostic probe. What was that? What is that? It is about checking the response in the society. Who is amplifying the words of Donald Trump? You need to have people, your loyal supporters, to amplify your words. Only when somebody repeats your words will gain strength and that will snowball into a great issue. So they were checking that. Who supported Donald Trump's views? Who repeated his words? Who imparted more power to his words? The CIA was checking, Indian media people, personalities, then political leaders, then social leaders. I think that also didn't work well because there are not many takers in India. So there is a problem with such a strategy. If you conduct that strategy in India, the problem is there are not many fans of Uncle Sam in India. So this is the problem. Indians, whether they belong to the right wing, whether they follow a middle path, whether they follow left wing, not a significant number of people love the United States. So this is a problem. The society generally has got a distrust of the US. So I think for the US to manipulate public opinion in India, this is a great issue. They have to overcome the hurdle. Otherwise, all these strategies would not work in India. So, as I earlier said, this strategic perception manipulation has its own limits in India. Then I think you have to, the another aim of this strategic perception manipulation is narrative conditioning. Perhaps the US might have gained from that. For example, when the US targeted India, many other countries were listening to that. They were eagerly watching that. And because India is a big country, India is the third or fourth largest economy in the world. It has got the third biggest military in the world. So if US can browbeat India, or if US President repeatedly claims that it was he who brought an end to India-Pakistan conflict, so I think there other countries will develop a grudging admiration for Donald Trump. Perhaps he might have gained that. Though India has not agreed, I think in a way he might have gained that respect. So that way he might have scored on that front. Then there was another aim goal for this strategy. That was creating a trust deficit between India and Russia. So when Donald Trump repeatedly said India has assured him to cut down intake of crude oil from Russia, though India denied, when Trump repeats it several times, umpteen times, at least some leaders in Russia may have a doubt that did India really assure the US like that? Is India playing a double game? Is Prime Minister Narendra Modi, hobnobbing with uh, Donald Trump? Such doubts may arise. So that was one of the aims. But I don't think it has succeeded beyond a limit because India and Russia are time tested fronts. So I don't think that's going to work. But anyway, there is no harm in trying, and Donald Trump has done that. Now, these are all. Then there is an provocation. Then there is when Donald Trump said India was purchasing the largest quantity of crude from Russia, India responded with figures. So India gave the clear figures of how much crude oil they bought from Russia, how much they buy from other countries. So the US will get a clear picture of India's purchase, and that will help US industries to replace some countries and sell their product. So they got enough data. So this data acquisition of data could be some level at some point. It might be one of the goals, and perhaps the US might have got that. So these are all, I think, they would create a map, energy mapping. So many things like that are could be behind that. So to conclude, I would say the loose talk indulged by Donald Trump had a specific aim. His reactions were not impulsive. He was, donning the mantle of an ignorant person. He deliberately he uh, slipped out words. So those were all deliberate mistakes, aimed to force other people commit mistakes, gain from that, and eventually deny strategic autonomy to the world. So he wanted, especially the US wants to deny strategic autonomy to India. So this was a war of perception. Definitely, India has, taken preemptive action. India has thwarted the move, but at the same time, there is no danger in playing such a game. Trump will play more such games in the coming days. Let's wait to see how India is going to respond. Meet you with updates. Till then, goodbye.